essentially they want to roll back the country into be a bunch of factory workers. That's sort of what we're talking about. And they're like, oh, you don't want to be the thinkers, you don't want to be the inventors, we want to be the builders again. And I get it, guys, I get it. There's a certain segment of the population that wants to roll everything back and wants to all be factory workers again. The problem is that era has gone for the USA. A lot of these.
So I am redoing this video because of those exact words Chris just said I misconstrued. He is saying we are reverting to being builders. Wanting to be builders as people that might want to encourage more factory work, instead of being the thinkers and inventors of society, insinuating like that is what absolutely everybody should be, when in reality the thinkers and inventors of society, although they have given us many blessings, have also given us many curses, and are why we are in this boat where our planet is dying and we are in dire need of becoming builders ourselves. Absolutely, builders of our own lives and more sustainable practices that can help bring back the planet and quit damaging it so much. And it's insinuating people that work in factories don't think.
A lot of these jobs are gone due to automation, right? Machines do the jobs that people used to do. And we also have now computers that do the jobs that people used to do. This is just the reality.
This is partially true. There are more jobs that are more automated, especially in places like Amazon and Walmart. They're some of the biggest companies in the world, and they still can't fully automate most processes. There are still a lot of human hands involved, and in my opinion, there almost always will be, at least in our lifetimes. There are so many nuances involved when it comes to handling machines, and to have robots that would cost at least tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million or $2 or more, that would feed all the materials into the machine and press all the buttons just right, be able to problem solve and problem shoot. There's certain things that the human eye is better at catching at than cameras. I should know. I work in quality most of the time, and my human eye catches many mistakes that these advanced cameras and sensors do not. We need all of it. Ideally, it will, come together and will cultivate a great industrial age that is more free from waste, like ideally. And I really do believe that, yes, automation is the way of the future for a lot of jobs. But it's more so high earning degrees, like what Chris is insinuating we should all go for, when in reality, they're probably going to be the ones that are automated much sooner than factory or warehouse workers, like doctors, lawyers already are. The law field is a dying thing because you can do a lot of what we used to pay out the for to lawyers for decades just by filling out simple forms online and filing things through the court systems online. And the same can be said for doctors. I had a telehealth appointment today. I apologize for my voice. Really appreciate you sticking with me if you are. I like to make content when I feel compelled to, and I'm really compelled to do this right now and make this, like Chris tried to talk about, he had a job where he sanded metal frames for pictures, and he had to breathe in some bad stuff. So I don't know if he's caught wind of anything I said or anybody else has said anything, but I made another comment right away on a video today saying I'd really appreciate if you would take into consideration that there always will be factory workers and they serve you. We are in service of others when we are working in factories and warehouses, such as 2019, 2020. Everybody wants to praise, the people that are visible, the healthcare workers, people in the retail stores, and absolutely they should be praised. They were some of the only people that went out when so many people were scared to do anything and got to stay at home for weeks or months at a time, years at a time. The people still going out, yes, they were the healthcare workers, and they were the people in retail, in the grocery stores, as well as people in warehouses and factories. You never ever heard anybody praise the people in warehouses and factories. It's almost the opposite. It's you're a dirty, no good person if that's what you choose to do. And I don't think all of society thinks like that. I don't think most of society thinks like that. Most of Americans are in the same boat where they have no savings and are living paycheck to paycheck and are working hard for their money regardless. Even if you did get a college degree, even if you are a thinker or inventor, that can also be very stressful in its own way. So let's not make this into a competition of which is worse or better, or who is better for doing what. I just want to make a point that it is not antiquated at all. We have so many products, absolutely everything Chris and his wife come into contact that makes their life so easy peasy. They obviously live a life of consumerism, which is fine, but everything they own comes from a factory and warehouses, and it's so out of touch to be like, oh, well, why would you do that? Because you could do something better. You could be a thinker or inventor. Why would you want to be a builder? Meanwhile, everything you touch comes from people who want to build. How out of touch is that? And this is a person who speaks out about Elon Musk and like the elitism surrounding Elon Musk, but then he'll turn around and be like, we all need to be inventors and thinkers, not builders. That's lowly work. And it's fine if you don't want to work hard, if you don't want to toil, you don't want to push your body, that's absolutely fine. We need people like that too. That's how I look at it. We all need each other. I'm not trying to look down on Chris. He did express, as I already mentioned, like working some jobs. Most of us have been there, and he's had quite a life. Most people wouldn't have to experience a lot of the things that he has experienced. Once again, another reason I was taken aback to hear this man who came from a war-torn Vietnam. Like, you're going to look down on factory workers when you came from war-torn Vietnam? It just doesn't make sense to me. There's these people that get to be high earners, become out of touch so quickly. I love living in one of the poorest regions of our country, near it, very close, because people are nicer. Overall, there's less rude people, and people just respect people more. I've never felt disrespected for a second telling somebody I work at a factory here.
Some people, right, want to go back in time, or haven't kept up with the current, job skills that are needed in today's workforce. I know it sounds mean, but I'm just being honest with you about this stuff. There are definitely going to be pushback on the modernization of technology.
Who choose to think I've kept up with the skills, so I'm better than the people that haven't. There's all sorts of reasons why people work in factories and warehouses. I'm bringing up both because they're both so critical to the supply chain that serves all of us all day, all year. Some people come to work in a factory, get steady money with college degrees. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about all the people in my generation and other generations, but a whole lot in my generation that got college degrees that they don't earn and they still had to pay for. They don't use in their career and they still had to pay the student loans for it. This is a problem. There's so many people that are using their factory or warehouse work so they can go to college and get a higher earning degree. What about that? And you're calling those people not thinkers because they haven't earned the degree yet, and then as soon as they get the degree, they're the thinkers. But aren't those thinkers the ones that are, at least some of them, are the ones that are messing it up for all of us? And I've said this before. I think the innate intelligence of animals there's something to be said about that. We're not as smart as some of what we consider to be dumb creatures. We're not as smart as them. We are ruining the planet. And people like Chris and his elitist attitudes, they're playing part in perpetuating that. And that's what is most disappointing in all of this. Was I thought that somebody like him would get it, and he wasn't mean about talking about Republicans. He always seemed so nice and fair. But for him to be looking down on people that provide literally all of the goods that he and his wife use every day, I can't stress that enough. There's safety critical components that I've been responsible for making, and if I made a mistake and it got to the customer, I could be charged with a felony. And you better believe, even though it might be low-skilled, unskilled labor to you, if that worker doesn't take their job serious and try to develop some good skills while doing it, because I understand why it's called unskilled labor, because you can walk in off the street and learn it in a day. I do get that. But that doesn't mean that it's not important. And that doesn't mean that most people couldn't do it, because it insinuates that most people could do it. But I'm here to tell you, most people cannot do unskilled labor for any great amount of time. And that's fine. We need everybody. We need people who can walk into a factory and walk out in a day or a week and be like, man, I never want to do that again. But now I'm going to appreciate everything I get from a factory, which is like everything that, that much more. The day most factory work is fully automated or almost fully automated is the day that all of everything you could imagine would be fully automated. There are so many nuances that take place when it comes to making machines run. And the thought of machines running machines is absolute bonkers to somebody that runs machines for a living. And I do believe the technology is there. I just think it's one of those things, the first DVD player cost what, like several $100s. I remember my brother getting a DVD player in the late 90s or early 2000s, and it cost several hundred, like five, six, $700. And like this technology is going to take a while to not only be worth it expense wise, but just to be good enough. Because, for instance, the job I had at Amazon, they do have facilities where robotics are doing it. And I was a picker, so I'd walk around the warehouse picking items from bins for customers' recent orders. And the automated facilities, which I did not work at one, but the ones that have robots bring bins to the pickers, but the pickers still have to pick the items out of the bins, or that is what I have been told, allegedly. And I think it's funny, and I think good on those workers. I hope they have some good mats under their feet. They probably don't, because it's Amazon. They make you wear steel-toed shoes on concrete. Absolutely, like nothing trying to help at all. And I just think that's funny. So the job is the robot bringing you the bins, but you still have to pick through the bins because they can't automate. They can't make a robot good enough to sift through items in a bin and find the right one. You'd think that they would be able to do that, right? But that would take so many moving parts and like the kind of software, obviously they don't have by now, because if they did, if anybody was going to implement it, wouldn't it be a company like Amazon or Walmart? And I keep bringing this up because it's true. Unloading trucks, unloading pallets, this takes place at every factory, every warehouse, and it is something that is very hard physically. As simple as it is a very hard job. They cannot automate that. They cannot make a robot that can unwrap a pallet and then take things off in layers. Oftentimes you have to build new pallets with new items, and that is called layer picking. Like, they can't automate these processes that you might consider lowly, unskilled, but they are valuable and highly needed, and all of society would stop if people stopped doing them. Can the same be said for what you do for a living, Chris? Now I'm getting a little too snarky, so I should end it. It's just that I am humbled every day by experiences I have with people, my brothers and sisters I share this planet with of all ages, because once again, all ages work at factories. I work with everybody from 17 to 70-year-olds. I'm not exaggerating. There are 17-year-olds on my line. There is a 70-year-old on my line. And I like that. I like being around a variety of people. I like being around a variety of scenes in nature, and it's all humbling seeing the mountains, seeing these rivers flood lately. It's a reminder that we are all here for a reason right now in whatever part of this cycle we are in, and we are all important and we all matter. And the best thing you can do is support each other and try to build community. So I hope that this reaches some people that needed to hear it or enjoyed hearing it. If you did stick to the end, I really sincerely appreciate you. That matters so much when you listen to the whole thing. And take care.